America is falling apart. And if you've been paying attention, you already know it. Over 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Food prices are up 25% since 2020. Housing? A joke. The median home now costs $416,000 with 7.5% interest rates. Student debt just crossed $1.77 trillion, and credit card debt is at an all-time high, over $1.13 trillion. You feel like you're working harder than ever but getting nowhere? That's because you are. Wages haven't kept up with inflation since the 1970s. Healthcare bankrupts 500,000 Americans a year. And retirement? Most people don't even have $1,000 in savings. So yeah, something's wrong. Deeply wrong. And nobody's coming to fix it. So in this countdown, we're breaking down exactly how America is collapsing right in front of your eyes. Not with conspiracy theories, but with facts they don't want you to know. This is the real state of the union, and it's ugly. Silent starvation. Grocery stores are full, but people are hungry. You want to know how I know America's collapsing? Go walk through a grocery store right now. Look around. You'll see full shelves, bright lights, smiling cashiers. But that's the illusion, because while the food is there, the people can't afford it. According to the USDA, over 44 million Americans lived in food-insecure households in 2022, and experts say 2024 is even worse. That's 1 in 7 people. The U.S. has more food banks than ever before in history, but also more lines wrapping around the block at dawn, just to get canned beans and off-brand mac and cheese. You know what's wild? The average cost of groceries for a family of 4 is now over $100 per month. And that doesn't even include specialty items. We're talking basic chicken, eggs, milk, and produce. And forget about organic. Organic might as well mean for the 1%. The government keeps throwing out CPI numbers and saying inflation is cooling. Yeah, try telling that to a single mom holding $28 worth of groceries and wondering whether to put the milk or the ground beef back. You know how bad it's gotten? People are stealing baby formula again. Just like during COVID. People are skipping meals, stretching pasta for a week, watering down milk. And it's not just the homeless or jobless. I'm talking working-class families. The ones who get up at 6 a.m., clock in for a 10-hour shift, and still can't fill a cart. We are the wealthiest country in history, and yet food has become a luxury. Think about that. This isn't just economic mismanagement. This is an engineered starvation, silent and slow. And it's right in front of our eyes. The death of the middle class. No one's talking about the 70% squeeze. Nobody wants to admit this, but the American middle class is functionally extinct. It's like that endangered species the government keeps insisting still exists. But when's the last time you actually saw one in real life? According to Pew Research, over 61% of Americans were considered middle class in the 1970s. Today, that number is closer to 43% and shrinking every year. You feel that squeeze? That's not just your imagination. Housing, healthcare, education, food, insurance, every single sector has outpaced wage growth by 400 to 700% in the last 2 decades. And here's the kicker. You can make $100,000 a year in 2025 and still feel poor in most U.S. cities. That's not middle class. That's, you better not get sick or your life collapses class. That's, if the car breaks down, we're screwed class. Remember when one income could support a family of 4, pay the mortgage, send kids to college, and have money left over for a vacation? Gone. Now you need 2 full-time incomes, a side hustle, credit cards, and a prayer. And don't even talk about saving. 67% of Americans say they couldn't cover a $400 emergency without going into debt. That's from the Federal Reserve's own report. But they'll tell you the economy is strong. Strong for who? Tech CEOs? Real estate tycoons? Wall Street gamblers? Because for the average person, there is no cushion, no safety net, no future. Just this endless hamster wheel of work, pay bills, stay afloat. The middle class isn't dying, it's already dead. They just didn't send out the obituary yet. 401k, more like 401 crash, the great retirement illusion. Your retirement is already gone. Stolen, pillaged, raided like a dragon's hoard by Wall Street, inflation, and corporate greed. Everyone's been sold this dream. Work hard, save money, contribute to your 401k, and one day you'll sip margaritas on a beach in your golden years. But let me hit you with reality. 61% of Americans have less than $100,000 saved for retirement, and that number includes people in their 50s and 60s. That's not a retirement fund. That's rent for a year. Maybe. You know what else is wild? A huge chunk of these 401ks are invested in bloated, AI-hyped stock portfolios that could crash at any moment. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, they control more than $20 trillion in assets and have their claws in every major American company. If even a portion of that implodes, guess who loses? Not them. You do. The average American has been trained to believe their retirement account is safe. But between inflation, fees, economic instability, and market manipulation, they're losing tens of thousands every year without even realizing it. Oh, and let's not forget Social Security. The government's own report said it'll be insolvent by 2033, which means you're either getting a haircut on your benefits or nothing at all. So what's the plan here? Work until you're 75? Bag groceries in your 80s? Move in with your kids who can't even afford rent themselves? This isn't just financial ruin, it's generational collapse. Retirement used to be a finish line. Now it's a mirage in the desert, getting further away the harder you run. America told you to plan for the future, then lit it on fire. Healthcare is the real hustle. You're not a patient. You're a profit margin. If you want to know how broken this country really is, just look at healthcare. Not the commercials with smiling nurses or the glossy open enrollment packets. I'm talking about the system that bankrupts over 530,000 Americans every single year, just for getting sick. You heard that right. 500,000 people go financially extinct every year in the US due to medical bills. We are the only developed country on the planet where this happens. And don't get it twisted. This isn't just uninsured folks. This is people with insurance, paying premiums so high they could rent a second apartment. And when they actually use that insurance, surprise bills, denied claims, $200 ER visits for a 15-minute checkup, and a Tylenol. Medical debt in America totals $195 billion right now, and it's growing every day. And here's the cherry on top. These corporations are raking in record profits. United Health, CVS Health, Cigna, all pulling in tens of billions while you're debating whether to refill your insulin or buy groceries. You know how evil it is that a $5 inhaler in the UK costs $600 here without coverage, or that a single ambulance ride, one you didn't even ask for, can bankrupt you if it goes out of network. The whole system is a cartel with a friendly logo. You're not a patient, you're a walking invoice. And God help you if you actually need long-term care. Nursing homes? $8,000 a month. A basic surgery? $30K plus. So yeah, while billionaires go to concierge doctors and get stem cell injections in Switzerland, you're over here Googling how to treat strep throat without antibiotics. It's not just broken, it's designed this way. America doesn't have health care, it has health exploitation. The rent trap. America's newest prison is your lease agreement. We need to talk about rent, because it's the invisible prison that millions of Americans are locked inside, and no one is talking about how bad it's gotten. If you think rent is just a little high, then you haven't looked at the numbers lately. The national median rent for a one-bedroom apartment is now $1,495, and that's just the average. In places like NYC, LA, Miami, it's over $2,500 for a literal shoebox. And it's not just the cities anymore. Small towns, mid-sized suburbs, rural corners of America, they're all being hit. From 2020 to 2023, rent prices across the U.S. jumped over 25%, with no corresponding rise in wages. You know what's worse? More than 51% of renters in America are now what experts call rent-burdened, meaning they spend over 30% of their income just to have a roof over their heads. And 1 in 4 are severely burdened, spending 50% or more. That's not just unsustainable. That's serfdom. That's modern-day slavery with granite countertops. But here's where it gets sinister. Institutional investors, think Blackstone, Invitation Homes, Zillow, have snapped up hundreds of thousands of properties, jacking up prices, bidding over families, and turning once affordable homes into rental traps. These companies treat your need for shelter as a quarterly profit target. Oh, and don't forget hidden fees. Pet rent, admin fees, convenience fees for paying online. It's theft with a lease. You want to buy a home to escape? Good luck. Median home prices over $16,000, interest rates over 7%, and you need $50,000+ just for a down payment and closing costs. You're stuck, locked in, forever paying someone else's mortgage while you tread water, one rent check away from the street. This is feudalism 2.0, and you're the peasant. Vanishing jobs, exploding lies. The employment numbers are a mirage. The job market is not booming. The people telling you that it is have either never filled out an application in the past 5 years or they're getting paid to lie. The truth? We're not in a worker shortage. We're in a livable wage shortage. We're in a you need a master's degree to make 18 an hour shortage. And don't even get me started on how these so-called record low unemployment rates are being cooked. You know how the government calculates unemployment? They stop counting you after a few weeks if you give up looking? That's it. You vanish from the stat sheet. You're not working? Doesn't matter. They pretend you don't exist. Meanwhile, what's actually going on is that millions of Americans are cobbling together gig work, part-time jobs, temp contracts, and side hustles just to survive. And they're being counted as fully employed. A 32-year-old doing DoorDash, freelance art commissions, and weekend bar shifts is considered gainfully employed in this system. And while we're here, let's talk automation. AI and robotics are already gutting entire sectors. Trucking, retail, customer service, even law and coding are next. Over 85 million jobs worldwide are expected to vanish by 2025 due to automation, and the US will eat a huge chunk of that. And what are we doing about it? Nothing. No retraining programs, no universal safety net, just vibes and LinkedIn posts. We've reached a point where the American dream is you working 3 jobs with no benefits, no paid leave, no retirement plan, and still needing to Venmo your friend gas money. The job market isn't strong. It's a burning house, and they're handing you a squirt gun and telling you to smile. The education scam, degrees, debt, and the death of upward mobility. Let's talk about the biggest bait and switch in modern American history. College. Remember what they told us? Go to college, get a good job, live the dream. Except they forgot to mention the part where you'd end up $120,000 in debt for a degree. That doesn't even guarantee an interview, let alone a salary that can pay it off. We've created an entire economy where higher education is no longer a path out of poverty. It's a financial death trap. As of 2024, 44 million Americans owe a combined $1.77 trillion in student loans. That's more than credit card debt, more than auto loans. And the worst part? You can't bankrupt it. You can't erase it. You can't even defer it forever. The second you graduate, the interest starts snowballing. And here's the punchline. 60% of graduates end up working in jobs that don't require a degree at all. So why are people still doing it? Because the system runs on it. It's not just colleges. It's the banks, the federal government, the test prep companies, the for-profit diploma mills. All of them in on the racket. And what are students getting? Inflated tuition, useless gen ed courses, and unpaid internships. Meanwhile, professors are underpaid adjuncts, dorms are falling apart, and schools are building million-dollar football stadiums and luxury gyms instead of investing in actual education. And let's not forget about the high school kids being told to sign these loans at 17, before they can legally drink, rent a car, or understand compound interest. This isn't a pipeline to prosperity. It's a lifetime subscription to debt servitude. The education system is no longer about learning. It's about profit. And the American people? We're the product, the customer, and the victim. We live in a first-world country with third-world roads. America's infrastructure is rotting from the inside out, and nobody's fixing it. You know how bad it is? According to the American Society of Civil Engineers, the U.S. scored a C on its latest National Infrastructure Report card. That's right. The richest nation in human history barely passed, like a hungover high school senior taking a makeup test in summer school. And when you zoom in, it's worse. Over 46,000 bridges in America are rated as structurally deficient. That means you could be driving to work over a giant metal death trap and not even know it. Water systems? 6 billion gallons of treated drinking water are lost every single day due to broken pipes. Power grid? One major cyber attack or weather event away from full-blown disaster. Remember the Texas freeze? That wasn't a fluke. That's the future. Our airports are outdated. Our rail systems are a joke compared to Europe or Asia. And half the time you can't drive down a highway without hitting a crater disguised as a pothole. Meanwhile, China is building 5G supercities, 200 pallars MAF trains, and ports that look like science fiction. We're still replacing 1920s sewer lines with duct tape and prayers. And it's not because we don't have the money. We spent $113 billion on Ukraine in under 2 years, but can't fund a crosswalk in your neighborhood. The infrastructure bill? Most of that went to consultants, overhead, and bureaucracy. Nothing is getting fixed. It's all smoke and mirrors. America doesn't feel like a modern country anymore. It feels like a collapsing empire with good branding. Welcome to the decline. Please mind the crumbling step. You're not voting. You're choosing between sponsors. America is no longer run by the people. It's run by corporations. And this isn't conspiracy. This is public record. The top 1% of Americans own more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. And those billionaires, the CEOs, hedge fund managers, tech oligarchs, they're writing the laws, not voting on them. Writing them. Through lobbying firms, super PACs, tax loopholes, and donations so large they look like bribes with better lighting. Want an example? Pharmaceutical companies spent over $375 million on lobbying in 2023, the most of any industry. And guess what happened? No regulation on insulin, no crackdown on price gouging, just more, we'll look into it. Same with oil, same with big tech. They're not just lobbying politicians, they're owning them. Over 75% of retiring Congress members end up working for lobbying firms, banks, or corporations they were supposed to regulate. That's not a coincidence. That's a revolving door of corruption. And while we're distracted arguing over culture wars, they're gutting our rights, offshoring our jobs, writing trade deals in secret and buying up farmland, housing, media, and elections. You think we're choosing leaders? We're picking between corporate mascots, Pepsi or Coke, red tie or blue tie. The policies stay the same. Wages stagnate. Billionaires double their net worth. And the people? We get fed talking points, slogans, and $35 overdraft fees. This isn't a democracy anymore. It's an auction, and we're the product. If America collapses, and it already is, it won't be because of one party or another. It'll be because we let the boardroom replace the ballot box and called it freedom. The great American delusion. You're not free. You're managed. The biggest lie America ever told its people. Bigger than the housing always goes up lie, bigger than the college equals success lie, was this. You are free. But if you really look around, deeply and honestly, you'll see the truth. You're not free. You're monitored, managed, and milked. You're born into a number tagged with a Social Security ID before you even leave the hospital. You go through a school system designed not to teach you how to think, but how to obey. Sit still, raise your hand, memorize, don't question. Then you graduate and they hand you debt, loans, credit cards, medical bills, before you've even earned your first real paycheck. Every decision after that? Controlled. Where you can live depends on your credit score. Where you can work depends on your degree. What you can buy depends on your interest rate. Even your free time is a lie. You're tracked by algorithms, your attention sold by the millisecond. You scroll, you swipe, you shop, you obey. You don't vote for change. You vote to maintain the illusion. And now? Now they're trying to centralize the last things you do have. Your money. Hello, digital currencies. Your mobility. 15-minute cities. Toll roads everywhere. Even your speech. Say the wrong thing online and watch your bank, job, or reputation disappear. This isn't freedom. This is a soft prison, a velvet cage. And most people don't even realize the bars are already welded shut. The collapse isn't just economic. It's spiritual. It's mental. It's the end of a collective belief that we ever had a say in any of it. And the only thing more terrifying than the collapse itself, the fact that so many people are still clapping for it. That's it. That's the collapse. Not coming. Already here. You're not crazy for feeling like something's off. Like you're running faster just to fall further behind. Because that's exactly what's happening. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. To drain you, to distract you, to divide you. And while you're drowning in bills, in debt, in burnout, the ones at the top are cashing in, laughing, buying their second passports and building bunkers. So now you've seen it all. The disappearing jobs, the unaffordable housing, the rigged healthcare, the fake freedom, the debt trap, the rent trap, the collapsing infrastructure, the corporate control, the retirement scam, and the illusion of choice. Now what? That's the real question. Because collapse doesn't mean the end. It means you either break or build. So take this information, share it, talk about it, question everything. Don't wait for the system to save you. It won't. Prepare yourself, build community, grow your skills, get smart, get loud, because what comes next is up to us. And if you feel like you're just surviving, you're not alone, and you never were.